good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Meet Touchstone Essentials Live. I'm Craig Daly, the Vice President of Global Sales for Touchstone Essentials, and I'm here with Cindy Klement. You can see her beautiful picture here and her book.
With brown hair.
Hey, you look great. I like what you're doing with your hair. Looks fantastic. Well, Cindy, we're glad to have you here with us. Thank you so much for joining us twice a month.
It's always a pleasure, Craig.
We're
and
excited
tonight
about it.
We're going to talk about plant compounds tonight.
Yeah, tonight is all about plant compounds, which is exciting. But for those that might be new to this, Cindy Klement is a nutritionist, an herbal expert. She's been in this field for over 40 years. She's an adjunct professor. She teaches doctors about nutrition, and we're excited to have her with us a couple of times each month to teach us the details about our products in depth so that we understand them and know them well. She also has a book called Your Body's Environmental Chemical Burden I want to point you to. It's won a bunch of awards, so you'll want to check it out. Cindy, I'll turn it over to you to talk about plant compounds.
All right, let's do it, Craig. Let's do it. Plant compounds, folks, they not only do they maintain our health, but they're packed with these powerful compounds. So we can call these either plant compounds, we can call them phytonutrients, we can call them phytochemicals. Basically, it's all the same thing. And plants use these phytonutrients to stay healthy. For example, some of the phytonutrients in plants actually protect the plant from insect attacks, or some of the other compounds help to prevent radiation damage from the UV rays of the sun in the plant. So I think it's just really fascinating. But they also, as I mentioned, they maintain our good health. But the problem is that our bodies cannot make these important nutrients. So we need a reliable source of these plant compounds. And we find those when we are eating a variety of colorful plant-based foods. Now, phytonutrients, phytochemicals, plant compounds, we'll use it interchangeably. They're really interesting, I think. They're important, they're valuable to our health, and the antioxidant ability of them is one of their most important functions. Now, we've done a webinar on antioxidants, so if you haven't already done so, watch that webinar and, share the link with your friends. Now, plant compounds in our bodies help to protect our eyes, for example. They can enhance our immune system. They can help to repair the DNA damage from exposure to toxins. They can help to detoxify our body of carcinogens. They also enhance something called intracellular communication, which is just as you would imagine that it would be, which is like a conversation between the two cells in the body. The United States Department of Agriculture actually has stated, and I'll read it and quote it, that consuming a phytonutrient-rich diet seems to be an effective strategy for reducing cancer and heart disease risk. So that's our own USDA. And as I mentioned, phytonutrients are not just antioxidants, but they also have anti-inflammatory properties. So these phytonutrients or phytochemicals, what they are is they are the compounds that give a plant its color, its flavor, its aroma, and also, again, the protection against infections or predators or fungus in the plant. But in humans, of course, as I mentioned, it can stimulate or balance our immune system. It can slow that rate of unchecked cell growth. It can help prevent DNA damage like it does in the plants, but help to prevent our DNA damage. And when that occurs, it usually leads to diseases. So these phytochemicals are so important. And eating that plant-based diet can be whole grains, nuts, seeds, legumes, and then of course that variety of colorful fruits and vegetables. And this all gives our body those phytonutrients that it can't make itself. But Not all phytonutrients are colorful. I want you to think of onions and garlic, for instance, because they too really do contain a diverse amount of those phytonutrients. Now, I find this interesting that in India, plant compounds have remained the most abundant source of health care and life improvement, folks, for centuries. Ayurvedic medicine is about 5,000 years old, and it predominantly uses these phytonutrients in their preparations and in their formulations. Now, in the modern era, of course, about 1/4 of our pharmaceutical drugs are derived from plant sources. So each of these phytonutrients comes from a variety of different plant sources, and they all have different proposed effects and benefits in our body. Now, scientists have identified thousands of them, although really only a small fraction of them have ever been studied very closely. In fact, some researchers suggest or estimate actually that there are up to 25,000 phytonutrients. So obviously, we're only going to focus on a handful of those tonight. Now, a number of these phytonutrients have been shown to reduce our risk, as I mentioned, of unchecked cell growth, heart disease, stroke, neurodegenerative diseases, and some even have a positive effect on our hormones, as well as they can possess any type of immune enhancing agents and properties. Now, this I find is really interesting that experts believe that eating plenty of these phytonutrient rich foods promotes healthy aging. And I don't know about you, but living a long life sounds better if I'm experiencing health and not disease. Now, we've used the terms on this slide many times before during our past year or so of webinars. So tonight, I just want to take a look at these 5 groups, which are the terpenoids, the phytosterols, sterols, the polyphenols, the glucosinolates, and the alkaloids. And you can see that there are these little subgroups under each of those because I feel as if these are the ones that we have talked about the most. So I want to give you some information on what those really are so you can share and understand. So let's begin. We're going to start with the terpenes, which are also known as terpenoids, and they are one of the largest and most diverse group of naturally occurring plant compounds, and over 22,000 of them have been identified. And if you're an essential oil user, the terpenes are what form that major constituent of those essential oils from plants. Now, terpenes can possess any of the following useful properties. They can be, antimicrobial. Terpenes can be antiparasitic, antiviral. They can be used to prevent an allergic response. They can have anti-inflammatory properties. They can retard unchecked cell growth. They can help to modulate our blood sugar responses in the body. They can have antispasmodic properties. They can aid in our healing of our wounds. They can increase circulation, and they can mitigate headaches. We talked a lot about terpenes in our April webinar featuring the CBD. So if you need a refresher, go back and find that one. But among other plants like cannabis, terpenoids are also found in mushrooms, which means that we get terpenoids in super green juice and super greens plus D. We get them in essentials as well as CBD oil. So I want to take a look at a couple of the subclasses of terpenoids, specifically the carotenoids, which I'm sure you've heard of, as well as the saponins. Now, it's the carotenoids in a plant that help to produce the red, the orange, and the yellow color in not just plants, but fruits and vegetables. And more than 750 different types of carotenoids have been identified so far. The antioxidants in carotenoids help to protect our bodies from unchecked cell growth in the uterus, the prostate, the lung, the lungs, the digestive tract, as well as in the colon and in the rectum. They also help to protect testicular function and ovarian function. And carotenoids have what we call hepatoprotective. Hepato is liver, so liver protecting activity. The carotenoids are beneficial to our immune system, our vision, our skin, our bones. And the carotenoids are associated with, again, that intracellular communication that happens, as well as a reduced risk of cardiovascular disease. So under carotenoids, now we're going into one subcategory a little bit further, but I know you've heard of carotene, lycopene, and lutein. So I'd like to look at those just briefly. So of course, carotene, beta carotene, is converted into vitamin A in our bodies. And vitamin A is known as the vital nutrient for our vision, and it plays a critical role in those cell growth in our vision, as well as in maintaining our healthier organs like our heart and our lungs and our kidneys. Whereas lycopene is another powerful antioxidant with health benefits, of course, but lycopene helps to protect us from sun damage. It helps to improve our heart and prostate health. It can help to lower the risk of certain types of unchecked cell growth. Whereas lutein is actually found in the retina of the eye. And so lutein then can help prevent eye diseases, including cataracts and age-related macular degeneration. Lutein is also very beneficial for heart health. And the carotenoids, typically they're found in carrots and cabbage and spinach and pumpkin and kale and sweet potatoes and mangoes and things like that. So when we use super green juice, super greens plus D, when we use wellspring and essentials, we are getting carotenoids in those products. Now, saponins. Saponins are named after the soapwort plant because those roots were used historically for soap. And you know what soap does, right? It offers protection against pathogens. So saponins have antimicrobial properties, anti-inflammatory properties, they're antiparasitic, they're antiviral, and anti-ulcer. So these plant compounds have been studied. All of these compounds that we're talking about tonight have been very deeply studied. I think it's interesting that saponins are also a very strong expectorant. And what that means is that these saponins can increase bronchial secretions and facilitate the expulsion of mucus through either coughing or sneezing, as well as nasally to help expel or expulge the mucus from our nasal cavities. Saponins also aids in nutrient absorption in the body. There are numerous lines of evidence that are now indicating that saponins can also trigger unchecked cell growth, the death of those cells. Saponins can decrease our blood lipids, so in other words, modulate the cholesterol in our body, as well as modulate the glucose and insulin responses in the body. Saponins have also been used in the inhibition of cavities and blood clots, and in the treatment of excess calcium in the urine. And it's also been used as an antidote for acute lead poisoning. So when you start to think about how, we've done a webinar on herbal medicine, we've done webinars on plant medicine. When you start to look at these compounds that are in the plants, to me, it's just miraculous. And you can either call it God's pharmacy or nature's pharmacy, but plants are really it. Now, saponins are found in tomatoes and spinach and green tea, which means that when we use super green juice or super greens plus D or essentials or brain focus fuel, we are getting saponins. So let's go on to another group of plant compounds that are called phytosterols. And more than 250 of them have been identified to date. And what these are is they are a key structural component of cell membranes. Now, phytosteroids have been shown to suppress the growth of unchecked cells in the body. They possess anti inflammatory properties, they support our vascular health, and they actually aid in the prevention of coronary heart disease. These phytosterols are very similar in structure to cholesterol in the human body. And what they do then is they block cholesterol from being absorbed, and that therefore helps to lower that LDL cholesterol in the body. Phytosterols are found in peas and broccoli and berries and artichokes and sweet potatoes. And so we get phytosterols in our organic super protein, in essentials, in super green juice, in super greens plus D, as well as in brain focus fuel. Now, polyphenols, they are the largest class of antioxidants in our diet. Now, terpenes, you know, they're a very large class, but we eat more of the foods in the polyphenol family and the antioxidants there. They are responsible for giving a plant or a fruit or a vegetable a red, an orange, a blue, or a purple color. And they're very active against free radicals, against allergy responses in the body, as well as platelet aggregation. Polyphenols allow less of the sugar to be absorbed. So let's say that it modulates our blood sugar and insulin response in the body. It helps to regulate blood pressure in the body. The polyphenols are also hepatoprotective, liver protective. They're important in the defense against fungal pathogens and unchecked cell growth. And they are often anti-inflammatory as well as antiseptic, and they can have also at times, depending on which one, an antiviral property. So what I want to do is I want to look at this subgroup of polyphenols because you probably heard us talking about these before as well. So we've got flavonoids, anthocyanins, resveratrol, ellagic acid, tannins, and lignans. So we're going to start with, of course, the flavonoids. And the flavonoids give a yellow or an ivory or a white color. So think of the inside of an apple or a banana. But it gives this kind of yellow, ivory, white color to flowers and fruits and vegetables. And there have been about 6,000 different flavonoids identified to date. And some of these flavonoids have antiviral and anti-inflammatory properties, but they're known to help strengthen capillaries and prevent leakage into tissue. The flavonoids can help reduce our risk of developing cardiovascular disease. They can mitigate the unchecked cell growth. And this is interesting, they're associated with longevity. There was this amazing 25-year study that was published in the Archives of Internal Medicine. And what they did, it was a very large scale study. They looked at men across 7 different countries over 25 years. And they found that those with the highest flavonoid consumption, those individuals had significantly longer and healthier lives. That's a 25-year study. So I think that's pretty good. So flavonoids not only contribute to healthy cell communication, but they can also trigger detoxification. Now, flavonoids are found in green tea, in legumes. They're found in ginger, in berries, in broccoli, cabbage, kale, tomatoes, carrots, grapes, which means that when we drink super green juice or organic super protein, or we take essentials or wellspring or super greens plus D, we are getting some flavonoids in our diet. Now, anthocyanins are the most abundant and widespread of all of the flavonoid pigments. Remember, we're looking at the subgroups now, and they are the anthocyanins are the basis for most of the orange, pink, red, magenta, purple, blue, and blue-black colors in plants. There are about 100, no, I'm sorry, about 630 different anthocyanins that have been identified to date. And the pigments of these different plants with these different colors have been administered in clinical trials. They wanted to increase capillary functioning in order to remedy vision disorders and improve eyesight, including night vision, as well as improve retinopathy, and as well as cataract damage. So anthocyanins also possess what we call blood sugar balancing properties. They have anti-inflammatory properties, antimicrobial properties, as well as anti-obesity effects. They're also useful in the prevention of cardiovascular disease as well as unchecked cell growth. Now, anthocyanins offer significant protection from oxidative stress in what are called endothelial cells. And this has a direct relevance to atherosclerosis as well as neurodegenerative diseases. In fact, anthocyanins are highly available to endothelial cells. And what endothelial cells is they form a single layer that lines all of our blood vessels and lines all of our hollow organs, and it regulates, these anthocyanins regulate exchanges between the bloodstream and the surrounding tissue. So pretty powerful stuff. And these compounds have also been documented to be valuable in the protection of circulation, especially in our heart, our eyes, and in our feet. Now, anthocyanins, you can probably tell right from the slide, are found in all kinds of berries as well as grapes, which means we get them in essentials as well as super green juice. Now, resveratrol has antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, and that can help protect us against diseases like unchecked cell growth, blood sugar disturbances, and neurodegenerative disorders. And the anti-inflammatory effects of resveratrol also make it a very good remedy for arthritis or inflammation on the skin. Resveratrol has been shown to enhance our heart health, our lung health, to increase cerebral blood flow to the brain, as well as promote cardiovascular health and cognitive health. So resveratrol, of course, is found in grapes, but it's also found in strawberries and blueberries, which means that we get it when we drink super green juice or when we take essentials. Now, ellagic acid is associated with antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and unchecked cell growth activity, as well as having the ability to modulate our blood pressure, to modulate our cholesterol, to modulate or balance our insulin and glucose responses in the body, as well as been shown to inhibit arterial plaque. Now, ellagic acid also enhances detoxification enzymes in our liver, which can cause carcinogens to be removed before they can even be metabolized. So ellagic acid is found in strawberries and other berries, as well as grapes, which means, again, we get it in essentials, and we get ellagic acid in super green juice. Now, tannins. Tannins are known for their bitter or astringent components, and tannins have been shown to remove harmful microbes from the body, fighting against harmful bacteria and viruses and fungus. And tannins also have a very healing effect on cuts and wounds. And other beneficial properties of tannins include helping to modulate or balance blood pressure in the body. Tannins are also hepatoprotective, liver protective. They offer protection against heart disease. They can help balance our blood sugar, protect our brain. They have antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, as well as helping to protect us against unchecked cell growth. Now, tannins are found in green tea, they're found in grapes and cranberries and spinach, which means we get them in brain focus fuel and super green juice and essentials when we use those products. Now, according to the Linus Pauling Institute at the Colorado State University, lignans are associated with preventing hormone-related diseases because of their hormone-like activity. And some of the other components in things like flax seeds have antioxidant properties, which again contribute protection against heart disease, as well as those unchecked cell growths that we sometimes battle with. Now, flax seeds, of course, are the richest source of lignans, but lignans are also found in kale and broccoli, whole grains, in berries and green tea and matcha tea. So we get lignans in super green juice, organic super protein, in wellspring, in essentials, in super greens plus D, as well as brain focus fuel. Now, our next category of plant compounds is called glucosinolates, and currently they've identified about 130 different ones. Now, glucosinolates offer protection, as most of these plant compounds do, against unchecked cell growth in the colon, the rectum, the stomach, and glucosinolates can also soothe our painful joints and increase blood flow to the area of those painful joints. They also help to eliminate toxins in the body. They're also known from clinical studies for helping to regulate inflammation in the body, our metabolic function, and our stress responses. And they're found in cruciferous vegetables, which means we get them in super green juice, essentials, and super greens plus D. Now, our last category of plant compounds is called alkaloids, and alkaloids act on the nervous system and have been used as painkillers in medicine. But other alkaloids can be stimulants as well. And to date, about 3,000 different alkaloids, have been identified. They are inhibitors of cell division in unchecked cell growth of the blood and in the lymphatic system. Alkaloids have very diverse physiological effects because they can have, not all of them, but different alkaloids can have antibacterial qualities. They can be anti-inflammatory. They can be analgesic, so pain relieving. They are helpful in mood disorders. They offer protection, as I mentioned, of unchecked cell growth, but they also aid in getting people to sleep at night. So alkaloids are found in tomatoes, in tea, and in cocoa, which means we get them in brain focus fuel, super green juice, as well as essentials. There is a National Institute of Health researcher. His name is Dr. Prem Kumar, and he wrote, and let me read this to you, the levels of active ingredients in each plant can vary depending upon where the plant is grown, the amount of chemicals used, the nutrients in the soil, and whether these plants are cooked or uncooked, and so on. Well, luckily for us, Touchstone Essentials products are organic, they're picked at the right time, and they are cold pressed in order to keep all of those valuable nutrients intact. So folks, even the best diets can fall short. So use that healthy diet as a foundation for obtaining those phytonutrients in your diet, and then add in Touchstone Essentials supplementation to get everything you need to live your best and healthiest life. Now, folks, that concludes our presentation for this evening, but please join us on June 16th for a webinar I believe you'll all be interested in. We're going to be doing a presentation on fulvic acid minerals. And just an FYI, it's going to run a little bit longer than usual, but I think the information is really valuable. So back to you, Craig.
Thank you, Cindy. Well done. That's always interesting. I think plant chemicals, phytonutrients, is just a really interesting topic. And it's so fun to learn about all of the different phytochemicals in Touchstone Essentials products and how they benefit us. So thank you for tonight. We appreciate it.
I love the part about the colors, how they impart the color and the flavors and the aromas. It's just so fascinating, isn't it?
It really is fascinating. Thank you for educating us on plant chemicals. And I'm excited about learning all about Fulvic Minerals Plus on the 16th of June. This will be a great webinar. I've already seen the slides. Great information. Looking forward to this. You won't want to miss it. So make sure that you share this information with other people. Pass the word on. Get the word out to people that on June 16th at 9 o'clock Eastern time, Thursday night, we're going to be covering Fulvic Minerals Plus. So again, thank you, Cindy, as always. We appreciate our viewers today as well. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks.
Take care, everybody.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.